Bob loves physics and electric cars. He's been developing a new concept of the electric motor, much simpler and robust than those currently available. He would love to build a prototype of the motor, but he doesn't know how to. Bob could create a startup using the motor concept, or he could create a CollectiveOne. Startups are risky and would force him to quit his current job. On the other hand, in CollectiveOne, Bob can find people with whom he can share the load of making the motor real. So he decides to create a CollectiveOne, calls it New Motion, and assigns himself 1,000 participation points for its creation. The main goal of New Motion is to develop and commercialize the motor concept. He also identifies a few contributions and tasks that he thinks are most needed, and invites others to contribute. Sarah is also at CollectiveOne. She has experience in CAD design and already has done a few jobs for other projects. She gets notified that New Motion needs a task related to CAD design and gets in contact with Bob. After chatting and discussing the task, they both feel comfortable collaborating. So Sarah bids on the CAD design contribution and asks for 50 participation points in New Motion. Bob thinks this is fair and assigns her the contribution. Sarah now works hard for a week and comes back with the design. After a few iterations and refinements with Bob, he accepts Sarah's contribution. Now Sarah owns 50 participation points in New Motion, and Bob owns 1,000. Sarah has a few friends who also work with electric cars. She talks to them about the project and invites them to participate. One of them gets interested and starts contributing. Jack gets right into work and improves the electronics design. After a few contributions, he already owns 120 participation points, Sarah owns 50, and Bob owns 1,100. Sarah and Jack can now make decisions for the project. And they do. Bob only intervenes when necessary. Time passes by, the development is rapidly advancing, and after a few months, the design is almost ready. Now, New Motion counts with 8 contributors besides Bob. Bill loves physics and electric cars. He's been developing a new concept of the electric motor. He would love to build a prototype of the motor, but he doesn't know how to. He decides to create a CollectiveOne. But what a surprise when he finds New Motion, and after taking a look at the project's information and plans, he realizes the concept is very similar to the one he had in mind. However, he sees that New Motion has not considered to optimize the magnetic field as he thought. That would increase motor efficiency. He could create a startup and compete against New Motion. Or he could just get on board and contribute to the project. He decides to get in contact with New Motion. After chatting and discussing with some in the project, Bill feels comfortable collaborating with them. So Bill goes on and bids. This time, however, the decision is not clear. There are a few contributors who don't agree on assigning the bid to Bill. A discussion arises, arguments are given in favor and against assigning the bid to Bill. And after a couple of days, a verdict is reached. The contribution of Bill is accepted. Now Bill is another contributor of New Motion. As the project complexity grows, its structure is specified through the definition of goals. Goals are hierarchical, starting from the project's high-level long-term vision down to specific technical short-term objectives, and they are designed to group related contributions together. The activity of the contributors tends to focus on specific goals according to each one's interest and expertise. Goal-specific decisions, including contributions acceptance and thus assigning of participation points, tends to be taken by those more involved in each activity. To speed up decision-making, a budget of participation points is assigned per goal so that contributors can cede their influence over decisions that affect that goal. In kind, contributions that result from individual work are preferred. However, direct funding can also be accepted as a contribution in exchange, for instance, of participation points. In this case, Jessica invests $11,000 in New Motion in exchange of participation points. The decision grabs the attention of almost all of the team. At the end, the bid from Jessica is accepted. Jessica is now another contributor of New Motion as the rest of the contributors. The prototype works very well. Now New Motion decides to focus on generating profit. Jessica makes a terrific job finding a client who's interested in buying 10 units of the motor to test them. New Motion agrees. New Motion contributors decide that they will save part of the money raised and distribute the rest among them. Bob is happy. His concept of the electric motor was proven correct and is now a reality. His contribution is recognized all along, as are those of the rest. He received his first $6,200 from the project, and the future looks promising. He's confident he made the right decision when creating a CollectiveOne and is now thinking about his next venture. That's the CollectiveOne method. It's based on the following principles: open collaboration, contribution recognition and value, soft or liquid ownership, collective effective decision-making, and open data. Other projects besides New Motion are also hosted, making CollectiveOne an ecosystem of open collaboration projects and talented contributors. Projects learn from each other, interacting and collaborating by exchanging and merging participation points. Users are free of contributing to any project, building their own reputation in CollectiveOne, and meeting other people in the world to create amazing things. As you might be wondering, CollectiveOne is a CollectiveOne. It's at its first stages, with a lot of work to be done. Contributions are welcome. Come and visit us at www.collectiveone.org.